I've had my own businesses for a lot of years, again, mostly sales and marketing, but this time around I paid attention to pain points. Yeah, what people were frustrated with.
I love that. Hey and welcome everyone. My name is Jenna Lettingham. If we haven't met yet, this is my channel all about agency life and for my SaaS users. So thank you so much for watching, and we're going to go and meet today the software Numeric and Josh, the founder. So I'm so excited to show this to everybody and show another payment provider that can help you so you're not stuck in Stripe or some of these other payment providers. Show you what his tool offers that these other ones don't, and why it's important to get outside of those before you have a shutdown from maybe Stripe or another provider. So without further ado, thanks for coming on, Josh. Appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah. So what made you get started with Numeric?
Yeah, I kind of fell backwards into it, quite honestly. I was working with a payment. So payments there's a massive ecosystem in payments. And it starts all the way at the top with what are called processors. So you hear this term lumped around. Oh, I'm a processor. You're not a processor. There's like 10 of them on the planet, at least in the US, right? And those people those companies do trillions a year in volume, okay? And then below the processors, you have what are called sponsor banks and acquiring banks and issuing banks and all these kinds of banks that are in the ecosystem. Below them, you have ISOs, wholesale, retail. And I was working in that ecosystem for a wholesale ISO. ISO stands for Independent Sales Organization. I've actually had a career in sales and marketing that's 30 plus years long now. And so I was doing work for them. They brought me on as a contractor and said, hey, we want to start getting into the digital space. Most of their clientele, if not all of them, were boots on the ground, restaurants, retail places where there's a physical device to take payment. And in that process, because they had marketing assets literally everywhere, Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, right? ClickFunnels, I found High Level. So this was back in 2019. And I said, okay, so we're going to bring everything in-house. We're going to go into this tool. This is how we're going to market payments for you guys. And I knew nothing about payments at the time, but I knew plenty about marketing and sales. And so what happened was, over the course of time and getting to be familiar with High Level, mostly through the High Level Facebook group, I just started seeing people complain about payments, mostly about Stripe, because that was the only integration at the time. And so quite honestly said to the guy that was running the business, we should probably try and build something. And he was okay with it, and then not okay with it, and then okay with it. And eventually he didn't want to do it. And I said, well, I'm going to do it. I got my own money. And so when I said that, he's like, well, we should probably part ways. And so I've been doing it ever since. But basically it was like falling backwards into it, just paying attention to what people were saying and what their frustrations were.
I love that. Filling a problem that actually existed.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I mean, listen, I've had my own businesses for a lot of years, again, mostly sales and marketing, but this time around I paid attention to pain points. Yeah. What people were frustrated with.
I love that. So prior to that, you were working inside another company using High Level. Is that right? Did I understand that right?
Just getting them started. Yeah, we were starting to migrate their assets over to using High Level as a platform to help them with their marketing. Yeah.
Cool. And Numeric is this? You said you founded it. It's your own company, correct? And
yeah, it's me. I have a business partner. Yeah, I have a business partner, but yeah, it's our own software. We built our software from the ground up. Yep, from scratch.
Cool. And in that pyramid of like how the processing works, where does Numeric lie?
We're towards the bottom. Most people are in payments.
Yeah.
Processors, right, do trillions of dollars. Our main processor in like 20, I haven't even looked at the numbers for 24, but in 23 did $2.3 trillion in processing. Below that, so you're not a processor, right? You would have to have a crazy sum of money to get started and crazy technology. Sponsor banks, you're going to have millions of dollars tied up in that. ISOs, wholesale, you have a minimum of 50 to 60 grand a year just in what are called card brand fees. So we fit right at the retail ISO level. which is where most people in the industry are, is what's called a retail ISO. So
is that a pretty hard industry to get into? I would think so.
I couldn't tell you because I literally fell backwards into it. Helping people, honest, like that's the honest truth. Like I figured it out as I went along. Yeah. I would say it's pretty cutthroat, and here's why.
Yeah.
The entire industry is based on who can chase the price to the floor. Because, and we'll get into why we've been so successful and high level and just overall, but in payments, you have a couple of different strategies. We'll start with Stripes or PayPal or Square. They're all flat rate pricing. That's what they call it, right?
Yeah.
But that's the bottom of where they'll start charging you, right? So Stripes 2.9, PayPal's somewhere similar, Square I think it's like 2.75. But they're never going to charge you less than that. It's always going to be that at least or more. And then you have interchange plus, what's most common, which means interchange. I won't bore your audience with the interchange tables, but basically every card brand has multiple card types, which all have different costs, right? Just think of them as gallons of milk, right? They all come from different dairies, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So what happens is in interchange, everybody's just trying to nickel and dime the current person to get the account. So they're trying to go, well, if you're at 35 basis points, I can go to 30 basis points, right? Which is 0.1%, right? And so you're just chasing that into the ground. And then they're trying to backfill it with all these other fees. I counted at one point, because you have an application process, there's like 294 ways to charge a business owner, a merchant, for merchant services, other than the rate. And so interchange is just cutthroat. You're just trying to outdo the next guy by like basically pennies. And then there's dual pricing, surcharging, cash discounting. Dual pricing is the most compliant. That's what we do, right? You give the end customer a choice. Do you want to pay with a credit card and pay this cost, or pay with ACH and pay this cost? When you do that, you've shifted the cost from you, the business owner, to the consumer if they choose a card. And so in that regard, it's not as cutthroat because you're ultimately trimming the cost 50 to 90%, and it's a bit easier of a sell, if you will. I'm basically giving away free money. And so in that regard, it's not as cutthroat in my opinion, but every other place, it's absolutely cutthroat. Yeah. Just crazy. You're analyzing statements and you're looking at all kinds of data and you're like, I can shave a nickel. So. Yeah.
And Al, like, is there a spot where like you would recommend just going the easy route of like Square or Stripe, or seeking out a third party, or I should say a different payment provider like you or some of the other payment providers out there that do the dual pricing?
Yeah, there's two schools of thought. There's my dad brain that just looks out for everybody and tries to protect them all.
Yeah.
And then there's just the business side of me. Stripe, PayPal, Square, they're pretty good up until about 10 grand in monthly. But you still have to be careful because the terms of service on Stripe, PayPal, and Square are totally different than the terms of service with a regular, what I would call a regular bank, the people that I work with, my partners, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just because they're taking, so without getting too complex, in a regular merchant account relationship, the bank is taking the risk, but you're taking the risk as well as the merchant. Very similarly, I mean, anytime you take a credit card payment, you're taking risk because that person's getting a loan to pay, okay? So when it comes to how Stripe, PayPal, and Square work, they're actually what are called payment facilitators. So they have their own merchant account and they basically subdivide it. So think of how high level gives you an agency account, and then you can have an infinite number of sub accounts. Stripe's done that with payments, but the problem with that is the risk that's involved. Stripe actually is taking on that risk. So they're saying, we'll give you an account with very little information. We'll let you take payments really, really fast, but we're going to take the risk for all of that. If you get hit by a bus, if you don't deliver your product, we're out money, right? Now, a regular bank is also in trouble there as well, but they mitigate it differently. And so what Stripe and PayPal and Square have been doing for years now is just making it easy for people to come on board. And they were really looking at a lot of the micro merchants in the beginning. In fact, that's where Square got started, right? Like soda pop stands, lemonade stands, flea markets, right? It was what they called the micro merchant. And then Stripe got into the game and they made it easy, and they basically is sort of a loss leader. Like, let's just bring everybody on board. I often refer to them as like the American Idol of payments. Like, everybody can audition. We'll let you all sing a song, but who's really at the end, right? And so what happens is it causes risk for them, which is just part of payments, but it causes risk for the merchant too.
Yeah.
Because they can keep changing that terms of service to protect themselves. And it's not that other banks don't do it, but they do it differently. And so this is the part where I'm like, in all the time that I've been doing this, I've lost one client to the bank canceling them. And it's because their business imploded and they got to over 30% chargebacks.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. And Stripe will kick you off at 1% chargeback ratio.
Yeah.
But the banks that I work with, they're familiar with it. That's part of the game. And nobody wants it. I don't recommend it, but they understand the give and the take. And Stripe's more of a software that's like, look, we just want to move money and we want to move it as safe and as low risk as possible. So let's just do that. And if you look risky to them, riskier than somebody selling a Snickers bar or a coffee mug, see it. Yeah. So I say about 10K, because it's not really that big of a deal to them. But once you start getting beyond that, then they're really going to start scrutinizing you and you're going to be in more danger.
Yeah. And what's the onboarding and the flow look like for the end user? So not even for me, but for like the end user of like using a software where they can pick between the ACH and the card payments.
So, I could show you a form, but it's quite literally a payment form. So just think of a payment form and then you'll give me a second. I can load one on the page, but it's quite literally a payment form that just has two buttons: credit card, debit card, and ACH. And you just pick whichever button you want. And the system dynamically changes the pricing based upon your choice as the end customer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you let's say you go build a funnel page in high level, right? You go to sites, you build a page, you put products on it, and then you put the form on the page and then put the products in the form. When somebody clicks complete order, our form actually will pop open and give you the form fields to fill out for the credit card or the ACH information and still show you the pricing for the products.
Nice.
That's simple. You can do it on invoices, payment links. You can do it on text to pay. You can do it in documents and contracts. You can use it in the form builder and just add payments to it, which means you can do donations and so forth. So yeah, it's the end user is still all high level interface because you just install our app from the marketplace. And so everything that you see in the high level payments section is usable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, give us a little demo. I'd love to see how it works.
Okay, now that I've said that, I gotta go find the page, figure out where I put it.
And then while you're doing that, what does the onboarding process look like for a new business coming onto Numeric?
Yeah. So anybody that's letting you take payments, anyone, including Stripe, at some point is asking you for the same information that I ask you for, which is, who are you? What's your business name? What do you sell? How much of it do you sell? And then I want you to verify that information. I want a driver's license. I want bank statements, because believe it or not, people steal identity, which means they can steal merchant accounts and launder money. Yeah. So they're just things that we need. If you give me everything that I need from you, I can get same day approval, sometimes next day. If you hem and haw, though, this is what cracks me up. So this is where I'm going to get on my little hobby horse here. If you fight me on it and want to know why I asked for the information I asked for, then it just takes longer. That's really, I tend to liken it to somebody who's building out a sub account as an agency owner, right? You're like, look, I need your logo, I need email address. There's all this stuff that you need as an agency owner to then help the business owner run that sub account effectively. Yes. You're not asking for it just to collect it. You need it. And so I asked for the same thing, and some people get upset by it. They're like, oh, I shouldn't have to give you that. Well, somebody wants to pay you with a credit card, so that works. Okay.
And does it work with like subscription payments too as well?
Yep, you can set up subscriptions. You cannot create a new subscription yet, but you can save payment methods and all that kind of stuff. We can import all your people from Stripe, but don't let me get sidetracked. Getting back to subscription, that's another feature that should be released by the end of the month.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to do something super simple here. And I'm going to pull up just a payment link that we created. And then I'm going to show you like how simple this is. Okay, share. Where's the button here? This one?
Yes, it's at the bottom and it looks like a computer screen.
There we go. Okay, share screen. What do we want to share? Just that one. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yes, love it.
Okay, so it's a payment link with a product on it, which everybody should be familiar with, right?
Yep.
So you created a product first and then create a payment link. So if I fill this out and I click pay, then my software is going to pop open my form right here. And based on your internet speed, how fast it's going to go, right? And we're obviously streaming something, so it's moving a little bit slower. But this will pop open a form that gives you the option to pay credit card or ACH. And now that we're doing a demo, of course, it's going to take infinitely longer because that's just how software demos work.
It's just how it works.
So let me stop sharing and let that load. Maybe the sharing piece will let it load a little bit faster, but I'll show you how it works. I've got a backup just in case, like a static view of it. I can show you. Let me pull up a static view of it. For whatever reason, streaming tends to cause issues, doesn't it, when you're trying to share stuff?
Yeah, every time. I did it this afternoon with somebody else, and it just slowed it all down.
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be a different screen, but it is going to show you. Okay, let me make sure I can get back to where we were at. There we go. Share screen. Share screen. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Where did it go? Oh man, here we are. Jeez, I use a different browser. Okay, let's see if I did it. It's not coming up, is it?
Not yet.
The browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen to see if this continues. Okay, let's put this on this page. Let's do it this way. Okay, now let's try this. Everybody watching is like, don't we love technology? All right, here we go. So when you click on, can you see it?
Yes.
When you click on that complete order, right, then this form pops open. And then on this form, you can see the product price for credit debit card, and you can see it for check and see how it changed. It's that simple for somebody. So they've already made a choice. They're going to buy your product, right?
Right.
And then you send them the invoice, the payment form, whatever it is you send them in your automations or however it is you complete the sale. All you're doing is giving them a way to finish the sale. And so we then offer them two choices on checkout, and that's it. And they'll enter their bank account information or their credit card information right here. Now, what's really interesting about this that we've seen ever since we started, that's why we did it, because we knew how people were, is everybody's already got all their cards saved. So despite me giving a quote discount for you paying with your bank account, I know by virtue of all the data that I have that 98% of the time, you're still going to pay me with a credit card, even though the price is a little bit higher, right? It's just human behavior. Now, I got stacks of credit card offers on my desk.
Right.
Because everybody's trying to offer me cash back, rewards, points, miles, right? And we're all conditioned as consumers to go, I'll just put it on the card. It also protects us as a consumer, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If I spend money on a card and I don't get my product, then I have recourse.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes.
So human behavior drives almost all of this. We're just giving the human an option. That's it.
Yeah, I love it. And I love the layout. What kind of is it similar reporting or similar in regards to Stripe? So you can see LTV of customers and
all of that would actually be built into high level, however you want to build it in your own dashboard. We have all the transaction data. I don't build specific reports for folks. I tried to get into it and everybody asked for something different.
Yeah.
We let people just plug the data in wherever they want it. But we have all the transaction data. We know where all the payments are coming from, the card types, the countries, all of it.
Okay. So say that one more time. So how does that work on us pulling reports at the end of the year?
There's a couple of ways you can do it. First of all, if we're just talking about dashboard stuff, you can build basically whatever you want in a high level, right? When it comes to just financial reporting, you get a statement every month. You know exactly how much money's run through your business, where it's come from, which cards are being used. You know the exact cost to the penny.
Okay.
And like I said, anybody doing more than $10,000 a month is automatically saving 70 to 80%. Anybody in the 25 plus range, I'm usually 90% less cost. So you get that statement. You can see how much it costs to process those cards, and then you see a very, very tiny bill to you. Most of the time it's under $100 on that merchant account statement. But yeah, there's all kinds of financial data that you have available to you with us.
Very cool. And remind me again how, because from what I remember, it's per spend cost still. Or is it a per month? This is what it costs to use Numeric. Yeah,
that's a great question. So let's hop over to another screen. So we have a monthly minimum cost. It's $99. That's our service, right? All of our support. We handle all of that for you. We talk to the banks for you. We help. We give guidance if there's a chargeback dispute you're working on. All of that's in that $99. Then on top of that, for credit cards, you have just 15 cents a transaction because the rate is being passed on, what I showed you on the form. That's getting passed on. That person's choosing to pay that, right? And then ACH is just 1% and 30 cents. So this calculator on the screen now is actually, I call it a 90-10 payment blend. So 90% card payments, 10% ACH payments. And this is what we come out with. So if you were an agency doing $10,000 a month and you average $297 on a sale, $108 is the total bill. So that's inclusive of the 99, right? Now where it gets pretty exciting is you can go from 10 to 20, right? Agencies are doing that. And watch what happens in the red versus what happens in the blue. So the red being, right, Stripe, PayPal, Square. Okay. They doubled, right? And I went up $9. So that's the power of it. It gets exponentially better for you. It's the inverse of what you're used to. Yes. Right? Does that make sense? Yes, it does. Very cool. I love that calculator there. That is so cool. Anything else we should know? What is upcoming from Numeric? Can you tell us more of that? So what else? So let me show you this part in terms of what else you should probably know. So let me share this screen really quickly. Just from an integration standpoint, that's usually where people have the next questions. So come on. So this coming up on their screen obviously is our high-level agency account and then our sub account where we do all of our builds and testing and all this kind of stuff. So all these features, right, work. Everything I said before works. There's one limitation in subscriptions, and then I'll get to some things in just a second. Integrations. It's as easy as installing our app. And then once you install the app, you go through our process to get approved. This is again where the internet speed is fantastic, right? You go through our process to get approved, which happens inside of the app, right? Okay. Again, cool. This is all of our testing accounts. So if you install the app, you would not have agency view, you would go to sub account view. And then our app lives in this window. So you're interacting with it inside of the high level ecosystem, and I can still get you approved through my banks from all of that. Does it make sense? Yes. And we can use it for our sub accounts too. So like if our sub accounts wanted to sign up, they could. 100%. Yeah. And if you're an agency owner, we'll pay you a residual income on that. So think of it this way. As an agency, you make money when you make sales to new clients, right? That's obvious. Your clients whose businesses you're helping to grow have to take payments. They're making sales. Yes. When you add Numeric as an embedded payment provider inside of your SaaS product, and now your clients are taking payments through Numeric, you're making revenue every time your client makes a sale. Does that make sense? Okay, so we can install it automatically when they onboard? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so let's just take your agency, right? You say, hey, everybody, I got a new embedded payments provider. It's Numeric. I loaded the app. Go ahead and go through that process. It's all in there in your sub account. Just go to payments integrations, right? When they do that and we get them approved for you, or approved for them, I should say, then every time they make a sale, we're not going to pay you a residual referral fee for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you let's say payments are like stocks, you're building a portfolio, and the more volume that you get, the better off that you generate revenue.
Right.
So let's say you're an agency that's got 25, 50 sub accounts, and every one of them is doing $10,000 at least a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now you're talking about $250,000 to $500,000 a month of portfolio revenue coming through that you're getting paid on. Mm-hmm. And your whole job as an agency is to make them more profitable, bring them more leads, close more sales. So then they go from 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. Now you're making additional revenue on every new dollar that comes through every month. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
that's great. So
that's one thing I wanted to share. The other thing really is don't overthink it. It's payments are both complicated and not complicated. The whole ecosystem, you don't need to know it. As an agency owner, as a user, you don't need to know it. We handle all of that for you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is it really, agencies should be selling it like they're selling AI.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Now, obviously, I'm biased. Pretty clear, right? But the reality is AI, as cool as it is, I use it. You're only selling that for a certain dollar amount every month. The same with your SaaS, right, or agency services. But payments, that can just keep growing infinitely. As long as that client keeps growing, that money keeps coming through every time they make the sale. Not you making a sale, when they make the sale. So.
Yeah, and I'm such a fan of anymore of like having different revenue streams. So anytime that you can put that into your business or your personal life, I'm a huge fan of it because you never know what's going to happen. And so having multiple revenue streams at different places, I think is so key. Yeah,
it's really critical. And I'll use one glaring example. If you ran a medical practice, you're using an EHR, an EMR, electronic health record, right? Electronic medical record. Every one of those has payments built in for a very specific reason, because the people that built the software that is selling it to the medical practice knew that was a revenue stream when they sold that software to that practice. And they've made it so embedded, sort of like insurance does, bundle your home and auto, right? That embedded payments for SaaS is $1 trillion business. You just got to get in on the right ship. Stripe's never going to pay anybody.
Yeah.
They just won't. The average SaaS person in high level, right? Probably. Well, the last time I heard the numbers, they were doing 13 to 15K a month. Good, right? People can live on that and have a nice life.
Yeah.
But Stripe will never pay out on that. There's nothing in it. There's just not enough margin. But the way we built what we built, there's margin in all of it for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's really, I'll leave you with this, I guess. It's really telling of Sean, who Sean is as a CEO. So in 2019, when I first started getting into the high level group, I got into, you know how Sean is, right? He'll respond to anybody, and he still does.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just made a comment about somebody who was dealing with payment trouble with Stripe, and I said, this is how much you can pay. And he immediately reached out to me. I'd like to, understand this. And Sean has a little bit of payments understanding because he built Invoice.
Right, yeah.
And so anyways, I showed him what we could do, and he's like, that's great, and it will work. But I need it to work for every one of my agencies. And so from 2019 until now, that's how I've thought about payments. Not just solving the Stripe problem, that's important, both from a cost standpoint and a stability standpoint, right? We don't freeze funds and we don't kick people out. But from an agency standpoint, how do we put tools in the hands of agencies from a payment perspective that enriches them and adds tremendous value to their clients?
Yeah.
So that's what's driven us from day one.
I love it. And again, it comes native. Sorry. And you don't necessarily have to sign up for an affiliate program with that once it's under your SaaS. Did I hear that right?
No, you would still sign up to be an affiliate of ours so we could track it all.
Okay.
Make sure we pay you out. And that's super simple. We use a high levels affiliate system. So you can go get your link and send people. But anyways, it's sign up for an affiliate. And then once you install it, it's installed and they can choose to use it or not use it.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on today. I'm so excited to learn more about it. And I love the calculator you guys put out. And just to recap, one more question that just popped up in my mind. When it comes to like paying you all, it's just done at the end of like the first month's payments that came through Numeric. Is that right?
Yeah, the way the industry works is we just get paid from the banks, actually.
So you're not even getting paid through me.
Right. You actually pay all of that to the bank, if you will, for a short explanation. And then the bank pays us.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of like with Stripe. I'm not paying Stripe.
It's similar.
It's out of my invoice.
One of the so I'm going to say this from a business owner perspective. One of the brilliant things that Stripe did was they took the costs off the top, right, individually on the transaction. Mm-hmm. They didn't bill you at the end of the month. Just genius from a business, because you're like, it was only $1 or $2, right? Whatever the cost was.
Yeah.
But from the outside of it, you're like, that's really diabolical, because it's sort of a death by 1,000 cuts, because you just don't know what's happening. We do it differently. So you do have the monthly cost. It comes out on the first of the month, and then you're billed a final amount. It's sort of retroactively, I guess I should say. So you get billed the first of every month, which would have been for the previous month's services.
Okay.
Generally how it works. And like I said, like that calculator I showed you, that's a pretty accurate number. We've gotten really good at predicting that.
Yeah.
But I have clients do, 50, 100K a month. We're getting ready to bring on a client that's doing 2.7 million a month.
Nice.
And the savings is going to be staggering. I mean, I'm not even sure in my head. Like, what is that? It's like $70,000 or $80,000 a month they'll save, something like that.
That's insane.
So yeah, I mean, it's really powerful. And all you're doing is just giving the end customer an option. That's it.
Yeah.
Here's your option. Pay me this way or pay me this way. They were already going to buy it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's so cool. Well, thanks again for coming on today, Josh. I learned so much, and I know everybody will too. We'll put a link down below so anybody can sign up for Numeric, and let us know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Josh.